Hi, my name is Traci Kilgore. Welcome to our Neuro Neutral Podcast. This is my co-host, Julie Olson.
Yo, yo.
Every episode, we're going to dive deep into a different area of neurodivergence and visit what we call the neuro neutral space. This is a space in which we can create, we can change all the belief systems that we took on as we grew up, and we can turn them into whatever we want. If you don't understand that concept, that's why you need to be on the podcast and
Hands
watch
down. Guys, this is for you. Stay tuned.
Today, we are going to jump right in and talk ADHD. I thought a couple of the topics we would start with would be paralysis. What is it, and what can you do to kind of navigate and combat it? And then body doubling, which is something that a lot of people are not familiar with, and what it means and how it can be helpful. So we both actually are actively using that concept, and I wish I had more access to body doubles because it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with paralysis. So there's several symptoms that just come to mind, and Julie, please chime in and share yours.
I am here to always learn, Traci. For those that haven't heard in the early episodes, Traci is my ADHD coach. That's how we ended up coming upon creating this podcast.
Yep.
So I am, as her listener, what do we say? See, I can't even say it. Body doubling. See, I'm like,
That's why you need a body double. Anyway.
But no, yeah, exactly. I will chime in.
Yes. So, paralysis can come from overthinking, which causes overwhelm a lot of times. I call it deer in headlights. I have experienced it where it's lasted hours upon hours. I've gotten better at combating it and finding ways to get out of it.
It's difficult when you're in it.
Yes.
You don't even recognize that you are in the paralysis, especially if you haven't strengthened that muscle mind of yours to be aware when you are in it.
Yeah, no, I agree, for sure. I mean, anything is practice to try and get better. Doesn't mean that the things go away, but you learn how to get out of them more quickly and move into the spaces you need to be in. So,
yes.
I am going to refer to some notes because I want to make sure I cover all of the parts that come up for people. So there's poor time management, the inability to maintain focus and become easily distracted. Hello, ADHD. Unable to prioritize and manage tasks, which is definitely...
That's like uber hard. So let me give you an example on that. So today, we were supposed to meet at the gym. We said time. Maybe we can hit all points in this scenario.
Totally.
Time management. So what did we say? We said 9:45. Yes. But we ended up meeting both together at like what? Maybe 10:20-ish?
Yeah, about 10:20.
Yeah.
But we kept each other apprised as to our dilemmas and why.
Oh, yeah.
Not that excuses are really great, but if you live in the ADHD world, sometimes it's just what it is. So, you know.
So there's that one time, right? And then you said, what was the second one that you mentioned?
Overwhelm? That
you just mentioned just right over there. You said there's time.
There's managing tasks and prioritizing those tasks.
Okay, so that one. Okay, so reason why I knowingly late the way that I was because I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure we're gonna be doing the podcast, so I gotta make sure what do I need to bring before so I don't forget it. I need to pack my computer. Okay, I'm gonna need my computer. I'm gonna need snacks because we're gonna be working out. And just right after, we're going to be podcasting. So I just know, so I'm getting all these things. In the meantime, what's happening? I see things on the counter. And as in the process of doing that, I'm like, I'm going to put away this little section. So I do that. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I need to get socks. So then I go try to get socks. And in my mind, I'm like, the clothes are in the laundry. I need to, take it out of the dryer. So I go downstairs. And then I see other things. I'm like, oh, should I put another little laundry in? I'm like, no, Julie. You came down here to get socks. So just get socks. Because you have no time. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I could probably easily fold this real quickly right now. No, I told Traci, I was like, the distance of where I'm driving, like...
No, the conversation inside the mind is real. I experienced the same thing this morning. So I happen to have a house guest, and we both have ADHD pretty heavy. Neither one of us could sleep because our brain was like racing and our energy was like feeding each other. Now, when you're brainstorming, this is a great opportunity. Two ADHD brains popping up with all these great ideas, but not when you're trying to go to sleep. So we put in Tibetan singing bowls, and that helped. We turned all the lights off, no light, complete darkness, and those sounds, and that lulled me to sleep. So there's something right there. You're having trouble sleeping, find a proper meditation that can get you to sleep, whether it's a guided, whether it's just breath work, whether it's Tibetan singing bowls,
Yes.
ocean waves, if you like the sound of running water, which I do not because it makes me have to go to the bathroom. And I think it does that for a lot of people. It's just the sound, it triggers it.
Well, it's in those scenarios, it's like if I think about our time to get here, like for me, it's that pressure. And when pressure is applied within myself to get or to do or to get somewhere, then it's like, oh, then I need to do this, this, and this. So my ability to prioritize, that's where I struggle. And yeah. I would say, though, it's definitely have gone tons better. But to the eyes of someone else, it's going to look like you're not prioritizing, you're lazy, this is not something that's important to you. And it's like, are you kidding me? I've not only been trying to do that and like other things I've been trying to. So the prioritization, I get that.
So I like to explain things in terms that are really simple. So like picture like electrical current. Our brain is all about electricity, right? And making these connections with our nervous system and all of our organs, and they all work together. So in the ADHD brain, especially when it's kind of triggered with overstimulation, it's like you have an electrical current going this way and then this way, but nothing's connecting. It's like popping off all these different things. I call it like a lightning storm. Like that's the visual, but the feeling that I have is like all those currents going off, and oh, do this, oh, do this, oh, do this, no, do this, and it's like trying to reel it back in, like, where are those damn socks?
Oh yeah, at the end of it, I was going into like 5 rooms at once. Like, how does that even work for someone? It's like I'm going, and then there are times literally I will stand there and be like, what? No.
So I know exactly what you're talking about, but people that don't have ADHD are gonna be like, what the heck are you talking about? It's the thing. It's a literal thing where you literally feel pulled in a million directions, and then that's where the paralysis comes in, because you're like, I can't do it.
I can't do anything. I'm just going to And I think for me now, putting that into a business setting, there's a lot of individuals I speak to, so they're going to need me and pull me in different directions. And there's times where me as a mentor and a leader, there's like, I need to take a step back and just breathe. And that's where I have learned to decipher within my world how to figure out if I'm being overstimulated with work. But that's not always going to be 100% perfect, because there's times, definitely, I could just say even last week, there was times where I was just super overwhelmed, and it then bled into then my personal. And so it's just, but it's not meaning to, it's just I'm just trying to sort and organize and just figure out what's priority. It's just overstimulation for sure.
Yeah, so
the lightning storm. I was having lightning storms. I was having thunderstorms, maybe some tsunamis, I don't know.
No, kidding. I get it. I mean, that's the best way I can articulate like the activity.
Yeah, exactly.
Firing off.
Yeah, it's going everywhere.
Lightning everywhere.
If you're watching a lightning storm, you're seeing really cool things over there and over there, and then guess what?
Yep.
When you see something over there, then all of a sudden the delayed thunder comes, and that's what happens to our brain. Sometimes we'll be thinking something and doing it, and then the actions of it, the delayedness of it will come. So yeah, I know exactly.
Yes, I want to talk about
if this makes any sense. I know I'm being very vague, but
so people with ADHD are going to understand it. People that don't, it's going to need a little more explanation, and just keep listening, and you're going to learn so much. So
hands down.
So with the paralysis, some little things is just self-awareness. Now, a lot of the things that you're going to be able to combat behaviors with ADHD is becoming aware of what is actually happening. So realizing you're having all these things pop off, and you maybe if you're medicated, you haven't taken your meds, maybe it's time to take those medications. But if you don't do medicine, which is fine, it's a choice, you're going to want to make sure you have all the dopamine feeds on your regular day. You need enough sleep, first of all. So that is why my day started late, because I knew if I got up after 4 hours sleep, I was going to be hating the rest of my day, because everything is going to fall apart based on the fact that I'm not rested. Then your food. So I've been doing this plant, it's by this brand Plant, PLNT. Tons of great things in it, and it's all organic, or it's not organic. I wish it was organic. It's non-GMO, but anyway, it's got all these great minerals and things in it that our bodies need. So that's what I do first thing in the morning, or I'll do like eggs and ham. So I'm mostly a paleo eater. So
okay.
I do fudge and do the carb thing, like with the real cookie or the real cake, but very rarely. I pay for it, like in my gut and in my joints. So I have many reasons why I don't.
I'm the same way too.
But most ADHD brains function very well on a healthy meat, vegetable.
Protein.
Yeah.
High protein.
Vegetable, fruit, nuts.
Same. Yep.
And less of the grains. I mean, it's just a simple fact. I did Whole30. Literally, I was not medicated in the second 2 weeks of the Whole30.
Whole30 is how I jump-started my whole fitness and mental journey without even realizing that it was the beginning stages for me. I didn't know that.
It was me too.
I initially started Whole30 because I was like, I was depressed. I was having no control of my life, and that was the first opportunity for me to have control, and I had support. So talk about buddy system. My husband was doing it, and his cousin was living with us, and he was doing it too. So there's 3 of us in the household.
That's so nice.
And we were all like trying to make meals and talking about like where we were. Our sugar cravings came different for each different week. So
by the second week, I had no sugar cravings anymore.
Second week, I had the headaches. It was the massive like the withdrawals, yeah. And then after that, it was like the best way I can explain it was like having a hiccup. It was like I knew the feeling of inflammation and pain and like what the sugar did to me, but then it wasn't there anymore.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so second 2 weeks, I had complete clarity. I felt like my ADD was not as heightened as it had been. Like,
it's so true.
It was, and you go, why aren't you still doing it? Sometimes, I have a kid who's an executive pastry chef. Going home, man, I'm like, oh, because she's phenomenal. And like
so
to have
amazing.
to skip it, I'm like, no, you can't do it. Like I let myself have it. If I didn't have all the gut issues, I probably would do it more, which would then make my brain worse. So,
but I feel like that's what makes one with ADHD like be that much more understanding of their brain is when we can feel like, okay, maybe we shouldn't put this into our body because it then makes this trickling effect to me. So, in some ways, it's a blessing in disguise.
So the problem is that ADHDers need dopamine hits, and sometimes if you're not getting it
all
in
the
a healthy
freaking time,
way, you sneak.
Yes.
And then you start on the trail of the M&Ms, the chocolate, the cookies, the candy, the whatever, and then it becomes, oh, that felt good. So you want more, you want more, and you want more, and then there's the aftermath, which all of you know what that is like. It's
like the ability to control that part. Just like again, just those. Yes.
Well, if you're deficient in dopamine, you are wanting to, your brain is going to be like, I got to find it somewhere.
Yep.
So you'll start an argument sometimes.
Yep.
You will eat whatever. But if you know this about yourself, you have healthy snacks like Julie brought today so that she makes sure she doesn't cause that dopamine dip. Working out, we worked out. So a good workout will give you about 2 hours of a steady dopamine feed. So we should be good the whole podcast.
That, you know, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Like that length of time.
Yep.
When I think of the times when I work out, I am my happiest.
Yep, me too.
after, and I get a lot of shit done. That's why I wake up early. No one can interrupt me. I'm contacting clients and everything in those first 2 hours, and it's really strong. Like, and what I mean by strong, I mean like it's effective.
So that's another thing, becoming self-aware of when your optimal times are to do the hard things. So we all struggle with certain things. For me, it's the computer, anything technology like. So knowing I should not save that till the last part of the day. That is the dumbest thing, because by that time, I'm kind of tapped out.
Yeah.
So I know when I take my meds, there's a 3-hour window of where I'm most powerful, where I can zone in and focus. And that's when I realize I need to be doing computer work, because I struggle terribly. Besides getting down, I check my email and I end up, I got to answer that email. Oh, and then I go down to this email and then that email and then I go to my other email. And then by the time I'm done, I'm like, what did I get on here for? Shoot, I didn't even do that,
And to me, most of the time when that happens, I get overwhelmed, and that's where figuring out what's priority starts to become overwhelming for me.
Yes, I feel you. So as far as
so Traci, what do you do then? Now that we're talking about like being aware, understanding it, we're describing it, we're giving examples. So like, what does one do then? Like, how do you? Once you become aware, like, what happens?
Well, then you need to make little teeny changes. And everything you start doing, you have to practice continually so that it becomes something familiar and your go-to. And then it becomes more automatic. So I had another ADHD coach share this simple little thing. So say you have to do the dishes, right? And you're sitting there and you're like looking at that dishwasher and you're like, I gotta do the dishes. And for some reason you can't get up to go do the dishes. I will get this little thought in my head and I will say, get your butt up and go empty the silverware. And then when I finish that, I go, okay, just do the cups. Because you're overwhelmed with the cups, the plates. I know that sounds silly to a lot of people, but if you have ADHD, you probably
that makes
completely on the same page.
So much sense. So my
break
mom,
it down small.
My mom has ADHD. My dad has ADHD. They have 2 different forms, and I'm a perfect blend of both. Like I literally have both from them. My mom would always speak that way.
Start with one thing.
Yeah.
Well, what's that?
I don't think
Eastern philosopher. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with a single step, or 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So pick a mantra.
Her phrase was, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Right. So pick a mantra that works for you. I have several mantras that I go to remind me to break it down into smaller steps and for other things as well. And mantras are great because you don't have to think about this long article or this long podcast you listen to. You think about the mantra and it literally triggers your brain to realize what you need to do. You need to pick one thing and start.
I believe if you can master that, honestly, master your world of telling yourself, okay, one step at a time, regardless how big or how small, you're still making those steps forward. Like, I really do believe that technique is what makes ADHD individuals great at entrepreneurship, because that's how you do entrepreneurship. It's you have a goal, you have a dream, you have a destination. How do I get there? It's going to feel overwhelming. But if we just work backwards and just take those little steps, what's the next best step? Eventually you're going to get that. And I feel like that's what makes people that have our minds excel in the realm of entrepreneurship.
I agree. What I have discovered and want to add to that is I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole working life, except for my teenage years. And realizing when I had to come into the computer realm, what would serve me best is to have someone who's really good at that to
the buddy
take that part, or make sure I'm doing it only at that optimal time. But that's only like 3 hours in my day where I could actually utilize the ability to get things done with the computer. So having somebody to help you. So community, in
Huge.
your work environment, like a team is probably the best way to describe it. So I know you have some assistants that help you. My assistant is sadly not able to help me right now. So, and I very much like to have somebody I'm working with that I vibe with. So
100%.
like Julie and I vibe very well. Literally the way we met was ridiculous. Just like, hey, want to work out with me? Okay.
Let's do it.
That was it. We just have been friends ever since.
Want to be friends?
Yeah.
Totally. Let's do
Totally.
it.
Yep. Yep, we met on the playground.
Why can't we just do that as adults? Why can't we just
did
do
it? We are adults.
I mean, but why can't most people do it? Why can't they accept that? You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's there.
People, they're just like, you're weird. I'm just like, but I want to be your friend.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's called transparency. You just literally are yourself, and you ask for what you want, and people can say no. So, I think it's great.
And look where we're here now. We never thought we would ever do a podcast together.
Yeah, it was not on my radar, but it's pretty great.
We evolved. We've definitely evolved.
Yeah, so you have another question you want to ask? Or shall I refer to my notes? But like losing train of thought, lack of focus, lack of clarity, brain fog, avoiding tasks requiring
I believe
focus.
like the brain fog, to me, I've learned when I get those, I have to go back to the basic questions that you've taught me, or at least look at the basic necessities that I have to make sure. Did I get enough rest? Am I tired today? Is that okay? What about water? Have I gotten
important.
water for myself? Okay, maybe I need to have rest. Can I put in a time for a nap while I'm here? Okay, I need to get vitamin D, some sort of sun. Maybe I should step outside and look at my dogs play. And then you've allowed me to really sit down with myself and asked me once, okay, Julie, like write a list of the dopamine hits that you get. And now explain that. Like, what do you mean the dopamine hits? Because you did explain it to me. I was just like, okay, what do you mean? You're like, what would you say to someone that doesn't know that part? Where if you were to instruct them to say, okay, let's put you.
This is a bad thing to go to. But for me, if you bring Oreo double stuffs in and I eat all the cream filling, my brain is going to be happy as pie. And literally studies show that it is, and I can't reference any, so don't hold me to this, but that when you have an Oreo double stuffed cookie, it is the same reaction in the brain as doing cocaine. So then it also creates an addictive want for more because that zing felt so dang good. It floods you with dopamine. I mean, we only have so much we can produce in a day.
That's American products for you right there.
No, and that it's intentional on their part because if they create that addiction to their food, guess what? That's going to be your go-to. But as you become more self-aware and realize this is actually causing a very short dopamine feed,
yes.
And then there is a plummet that comes afterwards.
Yeah, so
which ends up usually in you asleep.
Yeah, and I've had to look at, okay, I love eating. I love eating delicious foods. Then I've had to decipher and break that in, okay, which delicious foods are good for me,
like
which
fruit.
Delicious foods are, yeah. So.
Like complex carbs, not simple carbs. So like bread feels good when you're eating it, going down, it's great.
That's my weakness right there.
Well, mine too, but I've had to cut it out.
Same.
Then your belly decides, oh, there's just processed food in there. I'm not even going to break it down. So now your belly's all jacked up.
Gut health,
and
inflammation.
Then you have a rise and a fall
peak
again. And you're asleep again.
And that's what happens. Yeah, no, there's times where it's hard to explain to people where I get really tired. And that's why I love creating my schedule the way that it is, because I get my peaks, I do what I do, and then guess what? I take naps. I need to show that more in my life on my social media. Showing that nap side.
Like, nap? You're a grown-up. Well, you know what? We're grown-ups with ADHD. So if we don't listen to our body, we'll be not.
I will get sick. My body will get sick. My nervous system would be too overworked.
And so then you're not functioning at your optimal level.
Exactly.
Sure.
And that's pretty much where I'm wanting to organize my life is, how can I be at my most best? If I want to be at my most best for people, then I need to take care of myself first. And these are the ways. So when I've made my list, I wrote down, okay, I love physical touch. Like, I have to have some sort of physical touch. Either it be with my animals, either it be with family, either it be with holding my husband. Like, I just need some sort of physical touch from time to time. Even when I'm traveling. That's one of the hardest things, is when I'm traveling with work. Like, I need some sort of touch throughout the day. So it's kind of weird. Like, I'll find someone that I'm like, can I just hug you? Can I just give you a hug? Is that okay?
So
and I'll just like hold them.
Do you know what happens? So this isn't for everyone, because some people have something about being touched. So this may not work for you. But studies say 20 seconds of a nice, solid, firm hug from someone
Yes.
that you trust and have good energy with,
Yes,
will release serotonin into the bloodstream, which is also something that we lack. Serotonin, dopamine, there's other things. I actually should probably post some of these items
that'd be great.
underneath this podcast. That way there's material that you can just pull from and recall, because that's the one thing I hate about listening to a podcast and then you miss something and it's like, oh, I wish I had all those supplements or those things she mentioned, or those little tasks that can help me jump out of the space that I'm in and create something better.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to create like a list PDF and you guys can use it on your own.
Yeah, because it's practice too. So don't think that just because you have this idea and you're going to try it once, it's going to be, oh, this is solid and this is.
Hey, we're ADHD people. We're good at starting over.
Yes, and remind yourself that you need to practice it.
Hey, and those that have ADHD, family members or spouses, partners, people that they have relations with that do, like, be patient with them as they continuously start over, and they'll keep starting over until one pattern works for them.
And that's exactly what it is. Because you will find things that you're like, oh, this is working. And then they become so automatic, your life just flows in that area. And it's not to say that it doesn't come up, but it's almost like you've trained yourself to know, uh-oh, it's happening, so I need to do this.
Yep.
So becoming self-aware, feeling like when the anxiety is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
You can stop that cycle from going the whole circle and cut it off and interrupt it and then shoot in a different direction, which it's a lot. I mean, I've been studying this probably since high school, not knowingly, but all I would read was brain books. Every book I read either was a biography about a life and usually somebody who probably had ADHD, because...
Now you gotta go back and be like, you gotta see if they have ADHD.
Well, like one of my first was Sid Vicious and Nancy. Sid and Nancy. I read a bunch about their life. I guarantee you they probably had ADHD. I mean, if you just look at how crazy they were on stage, that's probably where they got all their dopamine from, was the crazy music. And that's a lot of musicians actually have ADHD, which... Sadly for me, I can't play a damn thing, but I do love music.
Hey,
so
Traci's gonna be, guys, we're trying to figure out the month, but we're gonna be landing an amazing band next year, 2024. I'm gonna be launching out a private concert event. Traci's gonna be helping me with this. Traci has been saying to me for a very long time, hey, I just want to be your... What do you say?
I want to be your groupie.
My groupie?
Your hair person.
My hair person.
Your makeup person. Your wardrobe person.
Dude, I want it all. I want her to help me.
Support and be
I
in
would
the
love for you
music.
to do my makeup. I would love that. I love people doing my makeup. Okay. It's fun. Because I'm always curious to be like, what do you think that looks good on me? And then they do it. And I'm like, okay, I love it.
That's awesome. I never had anybody do my makeup and liked it, so...
But what I'm saying is, you're gonna be in the music scene, Traci.
Yep.
Regardless,
it's on my bucket list.
It's gonna happen. We are making it happen. It's the for sure steps are happening next year. If that's on that,
I'm on board.
Hey, we're gonna put it there in the universe. We're gonna make freaking Måneskin. We're just putting that out in the universe. Every time I'm so close, I don't know how. We're gonna do it.
All right, we're in. So maybe we could be backup for Damiano, because he did talk about going solo.
Did he?
Yeah, did you watch that podcast?
I did not, no.
Oh, I fell in love with him. Like, he is so transparent. It's fucking beautiful. I mean, he even talks about how he has to develop the persona on stage, and instead of, like, playing it up like he's like that all the time, I love that he was just, like, so real, and talks about all the parts of being a musician, the difficulties, the good things, the bad things, the scary things, and even when you come in the music industry, and I don't know how we got on this because we both love Måneskin so much.
Yes.
But we should probably switch back to ADHD. But anyway, I do think he has ADHD because you know one of the things he said?
What?
He was like talking about how he got into where he's at. And he's like, well, I thought to myself, what do I really feel passion for? So people with ADHD, if you feel passion about something, that is where you hyper-focus.
Yes.
And if you don't know what hyper-focus means, it means you put everything you've got into whatever that is.
Yep.
And in that love or passion of...
I love it when that happens when you're in that stage.
Yes, you're just like, you're vibing. You are just in tune with what you're doing. And so music is his thing. And I was like, people that recognize where they're really intentionally putting their energy and they're liking it as they're doing exactly what we call life purpose.
Yeah.
And I feel like ADHDers are much more in tune with what that life purpose is. Most of them think, oh, I can't do that and make money. But yes, you can.
It's the journey getting there.
But stop listening to other people.
Yeah.
Because if you focus on what you're good at and you just
100%.
really put it in there and you find the right people to partner with, and all that is key. Because
we're good at starting over and failing. And that's why we need to have a community, a buddy, and find ways to help us to get over those paralysis, because those are going to be part of your journey. But paralysis is not a bad thing. I don't feel like it's a bad thing.
I think it's your brain's way of saying, I'm fucking overwhelmed. Slow down.
Yeah.
Take a step back. That's why learning tools so that you can shortcut it. So, because I literally, when I was in my 20s, I would take my kids to school. I was a single parent by this time. But anyway, when they were at school, I would do nothing. Yeah. And I didn't know how to snap myself out of it till it was time to pick them up from school. And then I did all the mom things. And this must have been when I was between jobs, because once I had to start working again, obviously I was the breadwinner for a long time. So I had to work and push myself. But I'll tell you, there are certain things that will push you. For me, my kids save my life every day, because everything I do somehow stems back to them, even though they're between 17 and 31 years old. So you have to definitely find a why, not just in business, but just in your life. Like, what really matters to you, and make sure you're doing some of that, whether it's a hobby or real time.
And if you don't have one, don't feel alarmed that you don't have one, because
you do have one. You just need to find it.
It can be overwhelming. I remember the time when before I am doing what I'm doing now, it was difficult. It was so hard for me. Like, very much. I was lethargic. I even felt depressed, because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. And then, but that's why I'm saying, like, if you're in those stages, don't feel bad. So
I have something I want to share, but before I share it, I want to ask you, why do you think that happens for you?
In that moment, I will say for sure, I didn't even know what paralysis, ADHD paralysis was until it was explained to me a few years back. And I was like, oh my God, I have that. Like, there's times I'll be staring at a wall and I'm like, whoa, Julie, you've been staring at a wall for 45 minutes here. Like, good thing no one walked into the room and saw you. You know, like, stuff like that. I'm not even kidding.
When someone sees you, they're like, what's wrong?
What's wrong?
You're like,
I'm like
a deer in headlights.
And then I'm just like, oh, yes, I was staring at that wall. I just realized what I was doing in your eyes. Like, so, yeah, I could totally look kind of weird and psycho.
So why do you think, though, that we get into these spaces?
For me, I feel like, at least for me, it could be, in some ways, not all the time, there's sometimes where it's a feeling of boredom. Sometimes that will happen. Sometimes I also feel when I get that way.
Understimulated, you're saying.
So there's times where I've had it like that. There's also times where I've had it where I'm completely overstimulated and I don't know where to go. So the best thing is just to be there.
And wait.
Or to sleep. There's times where I just like, it's too overworking my brain that I'm really getting exhausted. So I'm just going to sleep. So, and sleep for hours. There's times where I just sleep for hours. So I've seen the effects of how it alters my body exhaustion. Like it gets exhausted. The energy levels deplete. I've had it in those forms. But as far as like where does it come from, you know, that's where I had to go back to the basics. Let me give you an example, because I was starting to feel somewhat that way, not fully, but I was starting to get overstimulated, overwhelmed. My exhaustion level was starting to go. I in some ways I could feel myself potentially going in that paralysis state, but I didn't want to go there. And that's when I reached out to you and one day and I says, "Hey, I don't want to be here on this meeting." And you're like, "Hey, did you go outside? Did you get food? Have you eaten? Here's some snacks you should get." Luckily, I had all those snacks. You're like, "Get something chocolate, go get some nuts, go get some protein and meat in you." And then you said, go outside, get some sun, just breathe, and change your scenery.
Changing scenery is huge.
Yes.
It literally, that is a great way to interrupt whatever is going on in your brain. And
Yes.
nature is the best.
Yeah.
Like if you can just put your feet in the
Yeah.
the grass. I mean, as it's going to get colder, it's going to be less of a thing.
So
but
so what did I do? I went outside, I got my chair, went outside, had the sun just hit my face. I was closing my eyes and I was just breathing and I was listening and I ate my snacks, drank my water, and then I started to enjoy myself.
That's called a reset. So resets are very important throughout your day. So if you work in an office and you're stuck in this very isolating space, figure out. And ADHD is actually labeled a disability. So if you so as children, we get these things called IEPs, which give permission to the student who has ADHD or whatever the issue is, extra time or extra help from maybe an advocate or someone at the school. But in the workplace, you can actually have doctors write something to the effect that these are the extra things that need to be done so that you can be the most productive person in that space. So
I wish I had that.
At every 2 hours or so, think about standing up and walking around, stretching, 5 minutes. I mean, people take smoke breaks. Don't do that. Cigarettes, that's another problem that you don't really want to start. But people that have ADHD, taking just a little break, go walk to the bathroom, do some stretching, come back, and then you can realign and go again.
Yeah.
And making sure you have the snacks also, like don't get hungry, because if you're hyper focused on something, you oftentimes will forget to eat or forget to go to the bathroom.
There's so many times both. Yes.
Alarms. Actually, I have something to plug right here. So my brother-in-law is part of this company called Pull, P-U-L. It's a water bottle. It's pretty genius. It hooks up to your phone. I'll put a link for that too. But it lights up every so often like you're not drinking. And then it literally records everything you drink throughout your day.
What?
Yeah, it's really kind of great. It only works with iPhone though. So if you're thinking about getting one.
Dude, he needs to sell that technology to these water bottle companies like Stanley and all that stuff. I'm not even kidding. He needs to sell that idea to them.
Yeah. So they're their own company, but
that'd be cool.
Yeah. And like I had a friend, they literally bought like 500 of them or something for all their employees. And that's where I learned that it only works on Apple. So it's kind of important to make sure you have the right phone. But it records everything, and then the lid lights up. And it's so distracting. My husband has one, and it drives me nuts because I'll see it out of the corner of my eye, and I get easily distracted, And I'm like, can you please take a freaking drink so it stops doing that? But it's pretty great. So there are all sorts of tools out there for people to remind you to make sure you're staying hydrated. Our bodies are like 80%, maybe a little bit more than that, water. So if you're not drinking, double your ounces?
You get your weight. Yeah, you double your ounces.
Is it half of that?
They do. I think it's like double your weight. Or half of your weight. Yes, half of your weight. Sorry.
A lot of ounces.
I was thinking for some reason I was thinking we weighed 70.
No, but your brain needs water to function properly. Your heart needs water. All your organs need water. Your skin. I mean, your skin is like our biggest organ.
Oh, H2O. Yeah, H2O, those elements are needed in our bodies.
Yeah, and I never realized how important it was, but it is essential. Like, there are so many parts to just keeping the body and brain healthy.
So this is how I think of water. Water is energy for me. That's how I look at it. I'm like, if I want energy, I ask myself, I'm like, when's the last time I drank water?
Well, think about this. How long can you go without water, really, before your body starts to shut down?
I forget. It's like, what,
It's
3 days or something like that?
Very short amount of
2
time.
days or something, like so many hours.
You can go without food for a long time.
Yeah.
If you have water. If you don't have water. So water.
Oh, you get dehydrated, you get delirious. Dude,
how
it
long
affects
can you
everything.
go without breath?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, oxygen. Yeah, H2O, dude. H2O.
No, and this is the thing, like,
hydrogen and
most
oxygen.
of us, if you're anxious, you're breathing in this section of your body. You're not breathing a full breath.
Not to our gut, no.
So everything is kind of like doing this.
Yep.
And then anxiety comes on, and
now you're making me want to.
Then you're not functional. So breath and water are the very first most important things every single day. Your body thankfully won't let you stop breathing. But if you're not breathing right, that's also problematic.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
So breath work is another thing. And anytime you get stuck somewhere, doing breath work and meditation can quickly pull you out of it. So I highly recommend. There's so many things I can recommend. Insight Timer, if you don't know what to do. They have hypnosis. They have guided meditations. They have just sound. They have courses you can take on there to help you with whatever mindset you're wanting to create.
Yeah, I love that I have ADHD. I'm grateful I can confidently say that about myself now. Although past Julie was very, very like frustrated of that I have had this in my life because it was very discouraging.
Well, I agree with you, and I actually asked you a question because I was wanting to lead to what you just touched on. So what I've discovered is believing all the people, authority figures, teachers, bosses, people in my circles that said things to me and about me with like trying to learn and faulting me for my process.
Yes.
And even, sometimes making fun of me. And
making fun is a huge one.
My husband even did it for a while, and I think he realizes now, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be my person.
Yeah.
So don't make fun of this thing that I am desperately trying to overcome.
Yes.
You're not going to overcome ADHD. You're going to get better and work with it. And that's the biggest thing. Embracing it, knowing this is who you are.
I love it.
And people
I love my ADHD now.
They'll ask, we both had this. Why do you keep calling out that you have ADHD? Well, if you don't have it, you will never understand this definition or reason why we do that. But for us, it's owning it. Then navigating from that space and making it the best we can.
No, but this is what you're discussing. You're discussing that the way society sees ADHD as negative.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying, like, prior to Julie, that's how she saw it.
Well,
so if she has
everybody's
it,
telling you you're dumb.
Yes,
you're stupid.
If society's saying that ADHD is bad, no. If she's saying that ADHD is bad, and she's hearing that, and then now she figures out that she has it, like, that was a whole process for me to embrace in myself. It's like, wait, but people are saying that this is not what is good. So I have it. So how am I supposed to survive in a world where I am not considered good? And
you make your own belief system.
So, yes. So now going through that journey of like, no, I can create my own world.
Yep.
Like, this is about me, and I love this about me, and I accept this about me. So now that and that's what I'm saying, like, ADHD has helped me to become a master decipherer in my life.
Yoo-hoo, I like it.
Yeah. So, but going off of this.
Julie MD.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's people who have come to both of us together and separate where they'll say, why are you having to say that you have ADHD? Like, I'm thinking, we're bringing awareness.
Because it matters.
ADHD is just like saying you have an elbow. What, do you say your elbow is called something differently?
I love that analogy. I'm using it. That's so good.
It's not.
It's true. It's like, that's just how you're wired. Does that mean we're going to it's actually the more you talk about it too, I feel like the more powerful you become, because instead of making it be a negative, you're just like, this is what it is and this is how I pivot from it.
Pivot, yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. Once you can harness and see the tools and find what pattern works for you, like it's a game changer. And finding a community that's going to support you and help you, because you're literally altering your whole makeup of your mind of how you used to talk to yourself with happiness. And this is for those that, I don't know, suffer with ADHD and the inner dialogue that you have that's not as positive. It could be demeaning. So if you have had done that to yourself for years, decades, it's going to take time for that to change. But guess what? We're freaking Wolverines. We can heal ourselves. Even though we can't see it, we're literally creating new neurons. And that's why affirmations, meditation, and those going back to those basics.
And the mantras are seriously my pivot points.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about this on a different episode. My first mantra I really remember creating was the pig one. If wishes were horses and pigs could fly. And I used to use it all the time because I would end up in a, if only this, I wish this, if only that. And I would go into a 2-hour daydream in the middle of my day, looking at all these possibilities. Now, I do believe dreaming is a very great thing.
Oh, I love daydreaming
and getting stuck in it.
Oh, I have been.
It's a time stealer.
It is.
Because guess what? You're dreaming about the money you're going to win in the lottery and everybody's house that you're going to buy for them and all the people that you're going to help or whatever it is you're thinking about. And it's like, okay, you can't do that every day. Because, I mean, you're kind of in paralysis at that point.
Unfortunately, if you remember, our thoughts are habits. So if we're doing that every day, that means that that's a habit you've created in your life. And so if you don't want to be
it's a way you choose to escape reality.
Yeah.
But if you're in the middle of a work day or you're needing to get some stuff done, then you've got to figure out a mantra to pivot. That's where the mantra came.
Exactly.
And I remember my mom gave it to me and I'm thinking, if wishes were horses and pigs could fly,
gosh, okay.
Like, what the heck does that mean? I'm like, oh, it doesn't make any sense. That's the point.
Having those mantras and what your mom gave you, we need to have a conversation with Jennifer Bennett. Jennifer Bennett, her story, I don't want to tell too much about her story, but basically what I appreciate about her and her relationship with her mother is her mother knew how to, or at least, I don't know, I shouldn't say put words into her mouth, but she helped her daughter, and they identified at a young age that she had ADHD, and they gave her tools, and I'm sure it was like trial and error through the process of that. And what does that do for someone? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to pick her brain. Yes. I want to pick her brain because she's someone that grew in a life where that support, that community, those tools, those affirmations were given. Having someone know how to master, I shouldn't say master. That's not. I don't think we'll ever become masters.
No, I don't think a thing.
Yeah, I think when we become more in tune with ourselves and evolve in that, it's good to find those who have already gone through that journey before to help us. And she's definitely is one. So I'm just saying, guys, relationships and knowing how to have those tools, it's important. And if you don't have ADHD and you're listening to this, it's super important to be that support for that person in your life that has ADHD.
I so agree. Because it can feel very lonely if nobody around you seems to take the time to even understand who you are and why things are functioning that way. And what I do know you and I have discovered together is when we put ourselves in a room full of people with ADHD, it's very interesting how
they've gravitated to us.
Yes, and you don't have to explain shit.
Exactly, you don't have to explain shit. Yeah, they just get it. They go with you.
It's quite cool.
It's what? You speak Julie? What? You speak Traci?
Yep, it's pretty awesome actually. And just think about, if we get enough of us together, we can just take over the whole world, right?
That's when solutions to problems are being made. Because our brains think in ways that
outside the box. Sure.
Yeah.